I mean, if it, over and above what we discussed, I think the other point to be just a couple of updates. One, you know, that from a strategic authority point of view, hence why I couldn't turn up at the last authority meeting. I had a phone call from the Minister saying their mind is to defer the mayor election to 2028, still committed to a combined authority, and all the aspects that come with that. So that's been agreed and sort of supported now, and we're getting on with the strategic authority. It's not going to help now, but one of the aspects of that strategic authority is you take on strategic transport, and it enables you to bring in enforcement powers quite significantly along issues that we're talking around, not just for Storrington, but right across Sussex. So you do get that devolved transport strategy. In fact, all of the funding for the whole of Sussex for transport actually goes to the strategic authority, and they then passport the maintenance budget. So it's a major change, but it also focuses on public transport, not just bus franchising, but rail and other modes of transport. So it's quite key. So, you know, for me, with my two colleagues in Brighton and East Sussex, this journey is not about politics, it's about place. I know there's a lot of political noise going on in the background, but it's always about place. And this is about devolving real powers, real funding, and real opportunity to make a difference locally, rather than relying on national policies that come in, and those national policies sometimes are a little bit distant to the geography. But issues such as this enable you to really come up with some sort of output. And when you align the police, as well as local authorities, under the same strategic authority, you know, then that makes the conversation easier. But it's, you know, but that's a couple of years away really from that. So I think that's from there. The only other point, many councils are financially challenged. We're just concluding our budget, and with West Sussex, we're one of the few councils that are able to sort of talk about a balanced budget without any cuts to services and still maintaining an investment. So we formally signed that off in February. So that's still a very positive outcome really for the area. And I'll stop there and see if there are any questions or any observations from anybody.
Thank you. I was just wondering if you could clarify the position about the county council elections, because the government has asked councils to basically submit a request to have them cancelled. I know West Sussex have opted for that. Have they officially asked to do that?
We made that request in September 26th when we submitted our LGR. So that request doesn't relate to us, that's already in situ.
It's already in situ.
So that stands.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I ask a point? So will elections happen this year? Because I know that the 25 election is postponed to 26, but there was rumours that the 26 would also be postponed.
And this is what's being discussed at the moment.
Okay, so
the government is saying, for those that are going through local government reorganisation, and that are also, and in addition for us, we're going through a strategic authority. If you don't have the capacity to also oversee an election during that period, you need to let them know.
Sure, but Horsham have issued a statement over Christmas saying we stand ready with capacity to run an election. This is not about Horsham's ability.
No, but Horsham don't have elections in 2026.
As in, there would have been county elections.
So there are 63 councils in the country who are undertaking local government reorganisation, who've been invited to write to the government to see whether they've got capacity to do the reorganisation, and if they haven't got capacity to oversee an election, to let them know. But I'm not interested in all the others, I'm just talking about West Sussex.
Sure, me too.
So West Sussex has made it really clear that if the government was to undertake local government reorganisation, which is significant, along with the strategic authority, we would not be able to do that if they undertake an election that year. So there are two choices. There's a decision for them to make. They either defer local government reorganisation or defer the election, but that's their choice.
I'm still confused by this. I mean, my understanding was that Horsham run the election process and they're ready, and West Sussex don't want an election, and the government will decide. I understand why you wouldn't want it, because the organisation changing heads might not be the most appropriate thing, but it's not about the process. Sorry?
Well, what's the Horsham element?
Well, don't they run the actual election, so they're sitting there to actually administer the election process.
They are one of the bodies that do that, yes.
Yeah.
They'll do that for Horsham, and as other
But not for West Sussex.
institutions.
I thought Horsham did it for the West Sussex County elections.
They would do the Horsham district council.
Okay.
Mid Sussex would do their proposal. And
Sure,
so
okay.
they'll
So
go to
other county.
So there's 7 districts and boroughs.
Sure, so the others might
So
not.
usually the
Okay.
district and boroughs are the local government election process.
Understand, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any questions? Oh, John.
You know, Milton Drive recently had a 106 agreement put together.
No.
Okay, so between Horsham and West Sussex, my understanding is a 106 agreement was put together, but it didn't seem to reflect the demands that we might consider necessary in the centre of that village. I mean, there was a collection of a footpath that was part of the scheme, but there was no consideration for bigger things. You know, when we sort of talk about School Hill, you know, will there be funding? Because one of the questions we have from West Sussex at some point will be, do you have any 106 that you might contribute to a scheme? Well, the only way we'd get that is if we were part of the 106 discussion, where we could say, here's a bit of work we can see coming up in the future, you know, that development should be contributing to that. We've not been part of that conversation. It's happened, and that's going to be one of our biggest developments that's going to go on in our area without any funding for potential infrastructure projects.
But this is a Horsham planning matter.
Well, I'm looking both
It's
at
a Horsham planning. It's a Horsham planning matter. It's for them to determine the Section 106 legal agreement with the developer. But when you would have been given notice of that planning, did you not make your request through to Horsham on what you felt the contributions, where you felt new burdens of the village as a consequence of its development? Because that's where you do that, and then you share that with them, and then they take that into account. So they're the planning authority. So that's
Sure.
so it's in your
Take
gift
it up with West
to
Sussex.
do that in each of the applications.
I think the position that the council took was to object to the scheme, and therefore there probably wasn't, you know, this is what you'll do to.
But in reality, you can take 2 approaches to that. You can say, I object, but if the council is minded to seek the planning permission, then we would expect, you know, some financial contributions to meet new burdens that this development would come in. So you can put 2 different views forward, which is there, and I think that's really important. But that's why with any applications that come in, it's really important that you sort of get an opportunity, not just to comment on the planning development itself, but to consider, you know, are there any, and it has to be a new burden there. But that said as well, you know, you at some point you'll be able to get SIL monies, which you will get anyway through the process, which is not ring-fenced. So
Sure, you have many expenditure pots for that.
but that's a Horsham, that's a ring.
Yeah.
So just to follow on that, we weren't consulted about the agreements at all, and it happened very quickly without me. So maybe it's a lesson learned, but I would have expected it for a development of that size for there to be consultation with the councillors. That didn't happen. There's something there.
So there's no opportunity to put the caveat in there to
It got signed before it came back to planning for the final. So we would call that a
Does anybody have any questions before? district council.
Do you have something to give now?
Hmm?
Do you have something to, a report to give? Because I've got some.
I've got Mike's report. You can just pick up that one.
Okay, do that.
So not much of direct relevance to Storrington, but generally, Horsham District Council has agreed to set up a parish council for Horsham. For the currently unparished areas of Horsham, which eventually will become Horsham Town Council. So that's one development. It's also agreed to write to, actually it's just as well Paul's gone, because this would be, it's agreed to write to the West Sussex County Council pension scheme, or pension fund, with regard to divestment from fossil fuels and armaments. That's been rolling on for a long time. People have been objecting to that for quite some time, but they do actually invest in these things. So anyway, there you go. And it's also agreed to continue to explore ways to improve its planning, condition monitoring and enforcement. And on planning, as you know, the local plan was halted, the examination was halted. So the Director of Place is continuing to push for a better response from the planning inspectorate. Then let's talk about it in March, which apparently was a response they got. Also looking at how compliance and enforcement should be done by Horsham District Council. And that's it really. That's it.
Thank you, James. Anybody have any questions for?
I've got a couple more updates to add to that.
Go for it.
That's fine.
Rebecca, did you record an interest in the district council?
I didn't, because I don't think you've arrived then, but you hadn't, but we will look forward to that one now. Thank you very much.
So there's a few things that I want to update people about. I had a Waitrose employee get in touch to say that SUVs were regularly driving over the pavement coming out of Waitrose Golden Car Park. I reported it to the head of parking, who sent someone out who found evidence on the pavement that has been happening, quite significant. If you look there, you'll see it's pretty significant. Initially they said no, bollards were not an option because they were restricting, but when they saw that they said we're going to be putting some in, so that will stop that happening, which is seriously dangerous. I've been working with a local resident who has asthma, who's very impacted by bonfires, and continue to monitor that and see what we can do and liaise with the parish about that. On Christmas Eve, the UK Food Harvest Project happened at the Leisure Centre, and I've been talking with them following a comment from a resident about being accessible to services for people who work, this is where every fourth Wednesday food waste is shared out to people for a suggested contribution of £5. Anyway, I liaised with them and I got 5 food bags agreed with them, and managed to deliver them around to Parish on Christmas Eve, which was much appreciated. And I'm going to be continuing that and seeing if we can expand it, but also it's very easy to do and it's a nice thing as well. I'm working to support residents impacted by the illegal and very noisy vent installed by the flame grill. And it looks like things are really happening now. So we're working with planning, enforcement, and environmental health. I can't talk in more detail about it because they said that that could impact any legal work, but anyway, it's going on. Just wanted to update Parish about the Old Clayton S106 money. I don't know if you remember, but we managed to negotiate what will now be a one-off, which is the roughly, I think it's over £200,000 that have been set aside as the S106 money and going to go to the good of, or the benefit of improving affordable housing across the district, we managed to get it ring-fenced for the benefit of residents of Storrington and Washington parishes. That's been a bit of a complex thing to negotiate, but Washington have an idea about how they'd like to spend it, and I haven't found out what the idea is yet, because the parish council's been away, we've got the idea. But we've also had HBC Housing come up with the idea of using it to help purchase a house for a homeless family or a family with needs for affordable housing, and who expressed a desire to live in this area. So we are pursuing it, and it's got to be specifically for improving or towards affordable housing. So that's one thing. And finally, John asked me us to look up about West Chiltern's neighbourhood plan and the progress was being made. So we followed that up, and it is still in the examination process, and I will share with everybody more detail about, well, I think William and I have shared already, more detail about what we found out, but basically they're hoping for it to proceed to referendum once further checking processes have been completed, but Water and Trustees had a part in delaying it, just so you're aware. But we'll keep up on that one for you. That's it.
Great, thank you. Right, let's move on to the boys in blue. The wardens.
Good evening. Brief update. We're going to start this year with a different pattern. Our cuppa and a chat and our community cafes are going really well. We're getting between 20 and 30 people to our cuppa and a chat. And our community cafes, we decided to expand the cuppa and a chat. We have one in the library in another day of the month, and we also use Hanover Community Centre. So they're working very well and ticking off. But we realised that we're not getting people from the Sullington and this side of the actual parish. So we're exploring, and I've got a conversation with Saxon Mill to potentially use the Kingsfield Community Centre. So we can have another day of the month where we can run a cafe, so that we can get some more locals to come through. We've started tonight, hence we're quiet, because we had our autism group. We weren't quite talking. But what's good is the Rotary Club have purchased some sensory stuff for us, so we can use them on our events. We have, we will be taking a new blow-up racetrack for our sensory things, which would be great. And also, we were approached by Early Help for Family Support, because they came to our fun day last year, and they would like to do jointly with us a Easter break sensory SEN and autism event, which will be booking only, which they're going to help us arrange. So we've arranged that, and that's 3/4 of the way done. I should have introduced Dave. This is Dave.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Those I haven't met yet, and obviously I've met quite a lot of you already, so hello again.
I haven't given him a list of projects he's got to do yet, by the way.
That's why it's smiling.
But apart from that, everything's back to normal, really. We've got a few other things we want to do. We've been approached by Storrington Primary. We're going to spend more time actually in the school. They've asked us to help with the autism and SEN part of the school. They want us to meet all the pupils and more on a regular basis, so we're going to spend quite a bit more time there. We already do Thakum School, and we weekly go into Rock Road, so it's just good because the kids are recognising us, and that's an important part of our job, because the kids will see us and they talk to us more
when you talked about the breakdown of time you spent on parish priorities, the youth is really low. It's like 7%, where there's a number of others that are like quite significantly higher. So elderly is double that. And I suppose the only time that youth is specifically mentioned was around a couple of contact points we had. And I just wonder if, as a parish, we feel that we're investing enough in the, and I'm talking about the kids at the primary school, it's that really difficult age group from 11 to 40 or something like that. I know you and I have spoken before about there's quite a well-heeled area, but I also know there's some pockets of tremendous poverty in parts of this area. And I just wondered if we're investing enough in that part of the community, and whether it's something we could perhaps agenda, maybe pick up at the ICE group, but it just seems a bit light, and I just wonder I don't know what we could do, but I feel that perhaps there should be a bit more of a balance.
You've got to remember that youth bit is only contact. So when we talk to people, the school contact is not part of that percentage, and other things that we actually do aren't part of that percentage. That specific part was just if we engage with youth to talk, and that's why that's quite low.
But I think it's definitely a good idea that we would try to do more. We did try a youth club, didn't we, last year? Actually,
We did a youth forum, John.
Youth film, sorry. If we could find this, it's difficult finding what might attract them, but I think you're right that we should be we'll explore it again, couldn't we, this year, and see what else we could do.
You've got to look at there is a youth club course at the minute, but that is run by the church.
Yeah.
So we don't have a lot to engage with.
Well, I wonder if we could have an off-piece meeting with interested parties, probably one,
Yeah.
and perhaps one or two around the table. I'm thinking of Brian, actually, who's got 13 involved. But, you know, what is it that we could do that isn't being done in formal class area? I'm thinking about people that haven't got the money to go to whatever is available, like the football clubs and that kind of thing. But whether there might be opportunities to have a bit of a focus on it.
I think it's,
A very positive message for the community.
I think that really does merit a discussion which means that we can pull together some people, put heads together and see what we can do, because that we don't want to have any missing elements of our community there, because they go under the radar sometimes, and we need to identify that.
We should include them.
Yes, exactly.
My daughter's too old now, but the most difficult part of her life was between 11 and 15. So that's why it's particularly close to mine.
Yes.
I think it needs to be picked up on where we've explored youth clubs before. It was the expense, because you need sessional workers. We were given the use of the actual football pavilion, but it was actually working out how much money it was going to do. We were talking about £24,000, £25,000 per year. We couldn't raise that sort of money. And when we actually engaged the kids, and from the youth forum, and what they wanted was, lots of kids don't want the old format of a youth club. They specifically want, if you put 5 games machines down there, they'll be happy. We also explored Gareth and the other one, but that didn't materialise at that particular time as well. So,
That's good. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. We noted that.
Yeah, I've got it
Yeah.
there.
Right.
Question for the recordings. Have you been aware of more drug use in the village? I've been approached by a business owner and by residents, just observing activities that look very suspicious. I mean, I think we know what suspicious activities look like.
in what particular area, or anything specific?
2 car parks in particular. Well, I'm not going to
Yeah.
say anything more than that at this point, but have you been receiving any more, or?
There's been no reports. The only reports we've had is for a certain area, which has been, all the intelligence has been passed on to our PCSO and the police, if there's any reports relevant there, okay? The only time we had a car park with an issue was actually here. And we resolved that by putting police reports in straight away.
Okay.
So I haven't heard anything.
Okay, I shall contact you separately.
Yes, please.
I've